Every day in America, there's something that black people need to be aware of. But normally, when I'm making these videos, I'm hoping I'm speaking to a broader audience than just black people because we refuse to change our lives. We refuse to allow our lives to be changed, and we refuse to understand the history of things and the knowledge of things, why it's done, and who does it. Recently, well, over the last 3 or 4 months, Candace Owens has been out saying and doing the devil's work. And I want to talk about the category of Negroes that white America observes and uses all the time. Candace Owens falls into that category of Negroes that are knowledgeable to a certain degree, but not fully. Or if they do know, they make sure they never let all the knowledge be known because otherwise they couldn't do what they do. Terry Crews, who I'm not so sure is just an unwitting dupe. That's another Negro category that white people use, that unwitting dupe. Kanye West, who has some mental issues that aren't being addressed at all, and because the manic depressive mental issues he has manifested itself in creativity in some aspects, was allowed to ascend to an area of our community that where he has money, and we think people who have money have good sense. So there's that. So then we have the warrior, unacceptable black man or black woman, of which I'd fall into that category. I'm unacceptable. I'm not going to be acceptable to white America. And I really want to drill down on this brother that is the happy-go-lucky, I'm going to smile through it Negro. That was the bird watcher who just said, I'm not going to help you prosecute the woman that was going to try to have me killed in New York City. I'm going to call the police on you, Negro. And she was a white liberal. I'm going to call the police on you and tell them what I'm going to tell them. I'm going to tell them how messed up you and what you did to me and all the things. And he had it on tape. He recorded the whole process. And that wouldn't have gone out had he not given it to his sister, who said, what? People should know this woman is doing this to people. Or, I'm sorry, not people, you. And I look around my society and realize there's a whole lot of black folks who are in that forgiveness mode because that's what they've been taught. They've been taught to forgive. They've been trained that no matter how bad I treat you, how badly you've been treated by me and the system that I've created, it does your body good. It does your heart and soul and spirit good to forgive me even as I'm whipping you. Even as I'm denying you, as I'm miseducating your kids, even as I'm doing those things. And I'm a Talmud kind of guy. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Talmud, but I really like the way it treats forgiveness. It says I don't have to forgive you if you're not trying to make amends for your behavior. If you continue to mistreat me, I don't have to forgive you. And I don't have any forgiveness, at least not yet, because the society that I live in, designed for and by white supremacists, has yet to make amends to me, specifically me. I've been party to some things that, I've had to bring lawsuits against major corporations, not one, but several. And they were like, yep, it was discrimination. I know. I worked at Kentucky Fried Chicken. I worked at Jack in the Box. I worked at Raymond James. I worked at Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad, and all of them were discriminate. I'll bet you there's not a company out there that doesn't discriminate, even though we're part of them now. You remember, we weren't part of any of those corporations. We weren't part of that conversation for a lot of corporations as we were coming up. So, do I forgive you for discrimination? No, because you're not changing it. In fact, you'll pay me to go away before you'll change your behavior. That's what you do. That's what you did. So this brother didn't understand what's being done to him in New York. He wanted to forgive and not make sure the woman who did that to him doesn't do it to anyone else. He has the power. Well, she suffered. No, no, that's not even the point. Because the systematic racism has in this country is not done on an individual basis. It's done as a system. And the system knows how to use who it uses in the process, and the system is white supremacy. So this brother thinks it's just him, and I'll just make it go away. And even though I said, here's the thing, had the cops shown up and threw you on the ground and put a knee on your neck and killed you, that video would have never gone out. So we need to understand how often the white female in America has caused us death. I'm talking about from Tulsa, Oklahoma, to Emmett Till, and everybody in between. George Stinney, the youngest person ever killed by the state, was killed because he said he killed 2 white girls. He didn't kill 2 white girls, and they know it. They had to blame somebody because they couldn't blame the white guy who actually did the damage. So we need to understand what that forgiveness piece is all about, and how it damages us to not get justice rather than to try to get forgiveness. And there are black people in this country right now, especially those who I stopped going to church. I only went to church for camaraderie. I never went to hear all that nonsense. But I hear that conversation in church all the time about forgiveness. I'm looking up, I got black folks up in here. I'm like, what y'all forgiving? Did somebody make things right all of a sudden I don't know about? So I'm going to make sure we understand why forgiveness is the way it is in our community, in the black community. Why it's always played up as being some kind of idealistic nonsense that we should all strive to and ascribe to. No. Get Tallman on that forgiveness piece, bruh. And all the rest of you Negroes who seek forgiveness first rather than justice. But then I go back to the Terry Crewses. Now the Terry Crews conversation is very interesting. Because Terry Crews, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie Django, but Terry Crews has that Steven mentality. He'll do the work for Massa. He's the one they actually spoke about in the miseducation of the Negro. And he himself has been done wrong. He spoke about how he was treated without understanding, well, if you were treated wrong, what about everybody else? What about those who are not big and strong and wrong as you are? What about them that don't have your shoulders? And when they're done wrong, they don't have your money when they're done wrong. They don't have your drive when they're done wrong. The first thing you want to do is run out here and run interference for those who do us wrong. You are a real problem to the black community. You're a real problem because they don't even have to recruit you to do the dirt. You'll do it for them. You create the door that didn't exist to walk through to help the racist systems kill me. He's done it again this week. He did the Gabrielle Union, and now he's running out on Black Lives Matter. How stupid. It's really one of those things you really just want to take a brother out and back and put a foot in his ass. How stupid. You need to be drop squatted, brother. What is wrong with you? Then you realize, I don't want to be blackballed. You've already been blackballed, fool. They don't like you. They tolerate you. They use you. They use you on us. They tolerate you because they know you'll do the dirt no matter what. In the plantations, used to be that brother who sat on the porch to make sure that we didn't get off the plantation. But then there were those that they used on us and are still using on us. And I'm not sure if it's done wittingly or unwittingly with respect to the Kanyes of the world who vacillate between I love the master and what's happening out there is wrong, but it ain't master's fault. But I ain't gonna hang out with master no more. In fact, I want to be master. That's Kanye's bounce back and forth, vacillating nonsense. He did that one this week. I want to run for president. Damn. So I'm gonna replace a white buffoon, a white racist buffoon, with a black buffoon who we don't know what the hell's wrong with you. You can see how Donald Trump is trying to get us all killed behind something he doesn't want to grasp. What would you do? Put Kanye West in the presidency right now. Think about having Kanye West where, you know, we couldn't do no worse than Trump. You're right, he couldn't do no worse than Trump. Trump is doing as bad as he can do, and Kanye would be doing the exact same kind of conduct. We got to get rid of stupidity. We can't allow, well, he's black. No. And he said, well, I might siphon off some black folks, if y'all vote for that fool, you might as well go ahead and throw your baby in the tub and drown them now so they don't have to suffer the way we're going to suffer. You'll doom the rest of our generations going forward for the next 50 years. If you think Donald Trump's a damn fool, think about this manic asshole in office. Lord Jesus. And then Candace? Candace is a con woman of the highest magnitude. Y'all got to recognize how we've been done. White folks, y'all need to hear me on this one. Just because someone is black doesn't mean they've lived the experience and or doesn't mean they understand how to play the game and get paid for themselves and leave everybody out. Candace has done both. Our problem is allowing for it. It's part of our conversation. We've got to understand that you become acceptable to white supremacy when the people that you oppress speaks to us, about us. Because you can't imagine how many black people say, yeah, she's got some points. I'm like, wait a minute. Don't you understand how the con is done? The con goes like this. I'm going to give you a little bit of truth, not connected to any realities, not connected to any historical realities. I'm going to give you a little bit of truth right now. Well, somebody can say, I can see it right now. Yeah, that makes sense. And then I'm going to blame everything else. Just like, well, Terry did the same thing, by the way. He's talking about black people killing black people. And, you know, I said, you're right. This black folks killing black folks, and that's wrong. White folks killing white folks, and that's wrong, too. We do damage. People are killing each other right now. It's bad because people are in pain. But if you make it only right now as the snapshot and not the historical movie of America, to put things in context, both the Stevenized mindset of Terry Crews and the conning that's being done by Candace Owens, and white people, you need to understand how that's used on us all the time. You got to shut that out. Me trying to shut down Candace Owens ain't gonna do no good. I've been screaming at you for years. But I'm really scared about the unwitting dupe, more so than the rest of them. Because I can point out the con to you. But it's difficult for me to point out the person of color, the black person, who smiles all the time, who just wants to go along to get along, that things are just fine for them right now. But then you go back and read about what they've gone through, what they've seen, and realize they are still addressing this on a personal level. And as long as what they're living in right now, right this very moment is not bad, it must be a good time. Times are good for them right now. And they only have a conversation in the right now. They'll have some memories. I remember that time I was pulled over. I remember that time, Candace Owens. I remember that time I had to sue them over being discriminated against, but discrimination doesn't happen now. It's a right now conversation for them. Because that's the only way America can justify what's being done to black people. It's got to be right now. And if you say right now, then you go, well, y'all are okay because you can get into a school. Or y'all are okay because, but you didn't talk about any of the things as to why I have 1/10 of the wealth you have. That my kids still go to schools that don't have all of the assets and resources that your kids do. You don't want to talk about the assets and resources that are lacking in my community to this date. It's right now. Well, you're breathing. You're breathing. Well, at least you're breathing. Well, understand this. As long as I'm breathing, I'm going to always have this fight going on until you repair the damage that's been done, that is still being done. I suggest you Google the Talmud and look up forgiveness, America, and understand what forgiveness will mean. You got to repair the damage. Have a good day. Welcome to the blackening.